Welcome to the Last Beer Show. So, Jason, what's up?
Hey, Wayne. How's it going, buddy?
We just got done arguing.
We weren't arguing.
We kind of spoiled the end of the show.
We actually agreed completely, actually.
In the end, but we didn't agree all the way through. We can bring that topic back up.
Yeah, let's hold that.
I won't even gild the lily on that one, but yeah, we can bring that up later. So, how was your month?
Month was good.
Month was good. Because it was.
Month was good. I had a trip which we'll talk about, and I finished up my my time and tenure at my brewery job. So that ended a few weeks ago, and so I have been kind of figuring out what my next move is, whether or not I'll stay in craft beer as a profession or what I'll do.
Yeah, I suppose it's quite an internal debate. Yeah. It's a
Very
good industry. The product is great, and it's full of really fantastic people.
Agreed.
Doesn't necessarily always pay very well.
Yeah, there's more competition.
There are challenges. There's more competition than ever. So
yep.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
What about for you?
I've had a good month. I can't complain, really.
You moved, right?
I moved. Well, that was a month before. We talked about that. You know, we came off such a high from the last episode after being in the Porter Bar cellar.
Oh, yeah,
right? And talking to Michael and Austin from Good Beer Hunting.
Right.
And just really having their support. And for that episode was a lot of fun. And it was... it created a lot of opportunity for us that I hope is some momentum we can keep going.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone from a couple of downloads to twice that couple downloads. Now we have about 5 fans, 5 friends.
And some of the people, some people are going back and
downloading old episodes.
Downloading the old episodes.
Hopefully not the first 6 sound like absolute shit, but
yeah, of course they are. But
we learned a lot since then.
We did actually, and we got in the middle of kind of this. I kind of found ourselves in the middle of this conversation about race in craft beer, and slung that episode out to Killer Mike from Run the Jewels.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And,
what did he say?
And Ale Sharpton to check it out, and we actually we gained some followers from that, and
cool.
They really enjoyed the episode.
Good.
And so that was good. That means that people are going back into some of the older episodes, and the ones that we really want people to go back into are, you know, the episodes about diversity in craft beer. So good for that.
Yeah, and thank goodness we're comfortable enough talking about something we probably don't really know all that much about. But at least we're willing to ask the questions.
Exactly.
I'm willing to ask the questions.
And I definitely
teach me.
We both learned some good things from that, I think.
I think so. What have you consumed lately? The people always want to know. Your beers, you're the most interesting drinker.
Oh man,
the most interesting drinker in the world.
Yeah, we've kind of we've condensed our weekly bottle shares here to bi-weekly. So now we do the third Monday and we do the first Sunday and the third Monday of the month. So
I can't even get my head around that. I have no idea what you just said.
The first Sunday. And the third Monday.
What if they're only 9 days apart or 8 days apart?
This past time, I had to push the bottle share up a week because my wife had chemo on that Monday, and so I had to push it up to this past Monday. So we actually had one.
Is she comfortable with you saying that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. We had one this Monday, and then we're actually going to have a bottle share this Sunday. So it's
a week apart. Because those things could literally be like a week, just over a week apart.
Trust me, I wish there was a little bit of gap there, but there's no gap there. But
I know I came to this last one. It was a lot of fun.
You did actually, and it was a lot of fun. That we drank a lot of really good,
incredible
beers that night.
There was a theme though. I mean, I guess there's like 2 themes:
sours and Berliners.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of fruited up sours and Berliners, which brings us to our topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Summer beers.
Summer beers makes me feel.
What constitutes a summer beer has kind of changed a lot in the last few years. A few years ago, it was like an IPA with pineapple in it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's really like session IPAs. There's a lot of these like all day IPA type, like low ABV, light to mid-range IBUs, IPAs, crushable, sessionable, as you would say, Berliner Weisse, and a lot of these lighter fruited sours.
Right.
And I know you want to talk about the heavier fruited sours.
The
Berliner
slurry
Weisse,
cans.
the slurries. I don't think that category is named yet. And, we've talked about it a few times. We did a couple episodes ago. We were like, is that even beer, bro? Type of conversation we had. That really now it's funny we were a little bit in front of that because now these things are getting really thick.
Yeah.
And
super thick.
Sour and fruity. And and while I think we agree that they're beer, I don't think they're named yet.
Yeah, we're drinking one right now, actually. We're drinking one from Pontoon Brewing, which is in Atlanta. And this is Snosberries Taste Like Snosberries, which is a Berliner Weisse with boysenberries, black currants, vanilla, and lactose. And, they're very careful. Drink fresh, contains real fruit and lactose. So basically, my understanding of these is that they take a base Berliner Weisse, which is, somewhere under 5%, 4 or 5%, and then they just dump a bunch of fruit juice in it. And then drink it quick because it will ferment probably,
Well, it's fruit. So you've seen what I've seen from these cans once they're like 5-6 weeks old is that when you open it, they foam up with like this white to pink foam. And it's like when you pour it, it's like chunky.
Yeah.
Like super chunky. Then you probably didn't get to it quickly enough.
Yep.
Because it's kind of supposed to be a little creamy, a little tart.
Well, it says drink fresh.
Fruity. Yeah, I don't think you want to drink these old because they continue to ferment and they get really. I wonder like if they sat on the shelves at room temperature for 6 months in a bottle shop, if they start exploding.
Well, so on the cans it literally says keep cold, drink fresh. And if you've ever,
because if this can is warm, it's going to explode all over the place, or explode as they say.
If you go to a brewery like Vale Brewing, for instance, a lot of their fruit cans, a lot of their fruited beers like this are also, they have extensive labels on there as far as, drink them quickly.
Like keep it cold and drink them soon.
Yeah. So I think that they try to make sure that you understand that you need to drink this type of beer very quickly. But I think that, there's this underlying question, right? Whether or not these are still beers. And I tend to think that they are. The warning on the Vale Brewing Instagram post for one of their newest ones, which is called Painkiller Tasty. It literally has in all caps, please note that there's a significant amount of fruit in this beer and that it is imperative that these cans remain cold at all times! ! And this is a smoothie style sour with tons of lactose and conditioned on a ton of pineapple and orange puree, hundreds of pounds of coconut, and a small touch of nutmeg. So this is just nothing but a fruit juice bomb.
It's a malt beverage base, but it is definitely
just a smidge of Gosa, right, or Berliner
Weisse.
Yep. So I think it's interesting. I think that there is a wide spectrum of what we consider as a summer beer. I remember it used to be Hell or High Watermelon from 21st Amendment was like the definition of a summer beer.
Such a solid summer beer.
And now we're talking about these.
I don't know that this is a summer beer. I don't know. This is just too thick.
It is.
I mean, it's definitely fruity and refreshing.
I don't imagine drinking one of these at the pool or at the beach.
Let's test. Okay, in 2 months.
Okay.
Like late July, when it is blistering hot.
Let's do it.
98 degrees with 90% humidity.
Let's do it.
Let's stand outside and have one of these and think it's refreshing. I think it's too thick, but
I don't think this one's that thick.
I love sour. I love Berliner Weisses and light sours when it's hot out. There's something about sour and what it does to your palate and your taste buds that just is so refreshing when it's hot outside. I just ran a 5K, and when I finished, I was like, give me the Berliner Weisse. Boom, pow, right there. Two of them. All right, so
you have this idea that summer beers is, some sort of refreshing,
right now that's
fruity thing.
What's trending in craft, and like we said a couple years ago, is watermelon. It's been pineapple and IPAs, or any kind of citrus IPA.
I was thinking of you said pineapple. I was thinking of the pineapple sculpin from Ballast Point.
Yep, yeah. That then, but But to me, the all-time great summer beer is still the Pilsner.
Okay.
The Pilsner, and that lager style is a classic, light, slightly hoppy. It's got good malt backbone. Some of them a little tart, some of them a little hoppier than others. But it's just an easy drinking light beer. It's always been my go-to summer beer, probably always will be. And the more mature beer drinking countries, even like their best-selling beers are Pilsners. Good Pilsners, not light, fizzy craft, like fizzy water, like macro breweries do here in the States. Like, even though those beers are far and away the best-selling beers, period. So you could say they're the best-selling beers in the summer, but they're also the best-selling beers in the winter because they're the best-selling beers.
True.
Anyway.
Would you say that most people know that?
Know that the best-selling beers are Pilsners?
Yeah.
I think the only company that goes out of their way to call it a Pilsner would be Miller Lite. I don't think, even though Bud Light and Budweiser are lagers and they say they're lagers, I don't think they come right out and say that it's a Pilsner. And it just may be that they don't feel comfortable calling it a Pilsner because of the mix of adjuncts, whereas maybe Miller does, or it could be pure marketing, right? So I can't say I'm knowledgeable, but I do know that every single one of those macro lagers outsells the entire craft category. By leaps and bounds. So yeah, I would say Pilsner is the most popular beer in the US and the world. That's a pretty easy statement to make.
Do you think that people in the craft beer circle, in the kind of circle that you and I both run in, do you think that they view lagers and pilsners just as a style, as kind of like the lowest denominator of craft beer?
There probably are some people that think that, just because craft beer for a long time has been anti-macro, so they burst onto the scene with IPAs, right? Sam Adams had a lager and an IPA a long time ago, as did Sierra Nevada and some of the other early breweries. New Belgium had an IPA, pale ale. Really, pale ales were kind of out of the gate what craft was gonna. It's what craft stuck its flag in, right?
Yep.
And they ran with it, and eventually had stouts and a lot of other more international styles that got adopted and became popular and did a really great job. Now that palates are becoming more mature, maybe they're running out of styles, and it's only natural that eventually you get around to the lagers and pilsners. Lagering is also more expensive for a brewery. So a small brewery isn't going to, if they've got to build a flagship beer, they're not going to do it around a lager because it takes twice as long to ferment.
Yep.
And requires twice as much energy. So they're going to, ale is just cheaper and easier to make in the short run. But in the long run, if you've got the runway, then you can start firing up lagers, and a Pilsner is a great style within the lager. I don't think there are as many styles inside of the lager space as there is the ale space, like in general, but it's also a space that a lot of Americans are not real familiar with lagers from a craft standpoint.
Well, you've been over to Europe, right?
Yeah, I lived in Germany for 2 years.
Yep. So what is the kind of the scene and thoughts around pilsners over there?
It's almost all pilsners. All of the mature enjoyers of beer routinely drink Pilsner. When I was there, it was a while ago, when you went into a bar or a restaurant, you ordered by style. You didn't really order by brand, because what's available is whatever is made in town. They may have other breweries or beers or brands available, but you're not going to get that unless you ask for it specifically. So when you walk into the bar, you're like, give me a Pilsner, give me a Hefe, give me a Dunkel, give me a Bock, right? Give me a Alt beer or a Schwartz beer. Then you're just going to get whatever the localist one is, period. So for you, if you were on the north side, if you're in Ballard, right, in Seattle, because you were just in Seattle, if you were in Ballard, that'd be a problem, because it's like 25 breweries within like walking distance of each other, right? So it's exactly. So that would be a problem. But I don't think that, Germany specifically, and I'm willing. I haven't been to Belgium, but I'm willing to bet it's a pretty similar thing. I think Belgium has like 250 breweries, but it's also not an incredibly large body of land. I would say that they have had lots of different styles of beer, but they've been enjoying beer for hundreds of years, and this is where they've netted out, right? This is where they've come to like the table as like the popular style, the most popular style, far and away. They move a lot of Hefeweizen.
I was thinking Hefeweizen,
but it's not nearly as popular as Pilsner beer. So
I
take that with a grain of salt. I'm looking forward. They're finally 5 years ago. There were about, I'm going to say, between 1 and 0 good Pilsners on the U.S. market.
And I just opened up one from Texas, of all places.
And it's from Real Ale
It's
Brewing.
from Real Ale
It's a
Brewing.
lager.
Real Ale Brewing, which is the Hans Pils German style Pilsner. It says brightly hoppy and flavorful, man's other best friend. And on the top says
I'm looking forward to it.
Only in Texas.
I'm looking forward to it. Give me a
So I
blast
just
of that.
poured it, and this is a golden brown. It's actually kind of a little bit. It's actually a little bit hazy.
Most Pilsners are going to be between gold and amber, especially the ones that have a roasty or toasty malted flavor.
Yeah. Look at that lacing, though.
Because the Pilsner style is perfectly capable of delivering toasty and malty as well as hoppy. But they usually have like a tartness or bitterness to it, not like not a
bitterness
skunkiness,
to it.
not a skunkiness like a Heineken and green bottle beers. But they usually have not a Berliner Weisse bitterness, but some bitterness and tartness to it. Then they're usually
It has
really
some
good.
bitterness to it on the back end, for sure. I think.
Hey, that's
people
pretty
don't-
good. That's on point.
Is it?
Good job, guys.
I think that it's. I think that I had in my head that this was going to not be hoppy at all, and that is definitely not the case.
No,
with this
I think Pilsner has gotten that rap because all of the best ones were imported, but they all come through New York or Connecticut, and they sit around in distribution for 4, 5, 6 weeks. You can't get a fresh one. If you were to drink it fresh, it's a very hoppy beer. So I'm looking forward to a season where, Paste Magazine, for instance, just did like 134 of the best Pilsners, blind tasted and ranked. And I think there were only a couple that ranked high that were from Europe. And it's Eyinger and a lot of the brands you would expect because they make really fantastic beer. But really, all of the best top ones, like in the top 10, I think they were all stateside. So I think that's really great that we're finally getting these because when they're fresh, they're tart and hoppy and totally refreshing.
It makes me want to. I don't know that I had actually looked at that list, but it makes me want to take a look at it.
Should pull it up. I'll link it in the show notes.
I'm gonna pull it up right now and see if this beer is even on that list.
You know what's in there, and I know we have a can of it. Is Bibo from Creature Comforts.
It is. It's
I've had
really high,
several of
didn't
them on. Yeah, it did all right. I think it was like 12 or something.
Really? I thought it was. I'm gonna pull it up right now. You and I are getting ready to. They're in the middle of judging IPAs right now. They started on Monday,
I know we got invited
and we got invited
because we're so special.
I'm headed there on Monday.
Are
to
you?
to help judge some IPAs.
I might be able to go Monday.
You should go Monday. I think
Austin
it'll be-
Beer Garden Brewing, their industry pills was the number 1. So this is supposedly blind tasted the best Pilsner you're going to find.
This Real Ale
2 from
wasn't on
Burial.
here. Was not on the
It's
list.
really great, man.
I think it's a good.
I like seeing Oscar Blue's Mama's Yellow Pills on there because I think that beer gets a bad rap, and it's really great. And it's usually the cheapest can. I was at a beer bar once, and this really hammered guy, I don't know if he was hammered on alcohol. He was high on something, like something crazy, PCP, I don't know. And he came in, and everybody was kind of giving him side eye, and he just wanted the cheapest beer they had, and that Yellow Pills is what they pulled out.
That's funny.
And I was like, I had no idea. That's a good beer. Wow. And I'm drinking this $9 short pour of a sour. That's a third of the price. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe that guy came in here on meth or whatever has got something going.
Yeah.
So do meth, kids.
Yeah.
Just go.
Pilsners, man. Who thought? Who knew?
I love Pilsners.
Pilsners.
Great style, dude. I'm telling you.
Do you know a little bit? Do you know a little bit about the history of Pilsners?
It is one of the oldest styles.
Okay.
It has been brewed. I think it originated in Germany, and I want to say like the 1400s. So it's been around for a minute. I just read this the other day doing show prep, and I've forgotten it all. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody really cares, do they?
No, they don't care.
They don't care.
No, but I'm looking at this list. There's a lot of really...
In the U.S., the history of good Pilsners dates back about 18 months. How's that? I'll put a stake in the ground. I got my own flag.
That works for me, but when I look at this list, there's a lot of Old Mecklenburg in Charlotte, AleSmith in San Diego, of course, Live Oak in Austin, who I'm a huge fan of. They do
New Kids in Town, New Realm.
There's
Finback,
Six Point in Brooklyn. I mean, there's some pretty solid people in this top 50, and a lot of these breweries, like I'm looking at True Brewing, which is that uniquely spelled TRVE Brewing Company, which is that heavy metal brewery out in Denver.
Right.
They're not really a brewery that's known for doing things like Pilsners.
Light styles.
And yet here they are.
I'm telling you, some of them are really hoppy. That like 6 Point, the crisp is a really, really good Pilsner. Super good Pilsner. And it was like 50 on the list. Whereas even Lagunitas Pils, which is a very good beer, ranked pretty high on here.
Finback out of Queens, New York. They're known for these big, thick Northeast style IPAs.
Yeah, they do haze bombs, and that's a good brewery too. They do a good job.
18th Street in Hammond, Indiana, right down the road from Three Floyds, has one on here.
What?
Yeah, so I mean it's interesting because there's a lot of breweries in Bearded Iris, who I'm a huge fan of.
They do a good job with those. You've had a couple of their pills before. Come on.
Not their Pilsners, mainly their IPAs.
You're such a big fan of theirs.
I'm a huge fan of Bearded Iris, but I didn't know that they had done a...
So another, I want to move on to another trending style, another trending theme here for this summer would be glitter beer.
Glitter beer.
Glitter in beer. What do you think? Thoughts?
Oh, man.
Pull on the beard. Give it thought.
I think it's interesting. People are actually having a conversation whether or not these slurry cans, these fruited sours and Berliners are beers, but yet you would
put glitter in an IPA?
Put glitter in an IPA and drink it. And I don't know, what goes in must come out.
Someone's drinking it. Oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that. That is awesome. I wasn't going to try a glitter beer. I'm totally grossed out by the idea.
Thought.
I am so going to drink like 5 glitter bears now.
So I don't know.
This is happening.
I'm not doing it.
I'm repelled by the idea, but if what goes in must come out, then I'm drinking a bunch.
I don't know.
I
don't know how this
for humanity.
This works.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it for
let me
humanity.
know how it works. Let me know how painful it is. Glitter beer doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound appetizing.
Doesn't sound appetizing.
But people seem to like it. I mean, the breweries are making it. It's trending.
Yeah.
I can't name a single one. Nobody in
just
our area is doing it.
If your beer needs a gimmick, it wasn't a good beer to begin with.
Is that one of those things that's really just more of a Twitter fight? Like one brewery did it.
Yeah.
And everybody's.
I think it's like the Cronut.
I forget it.
Where people are like, "Hey, this is a great idea. This is what we're doing. We're inventing this." Right. And the next thing you know, there's lots of other people who are doing it. And I've actually started seeing home brewers doing it, and it's just like, stop, make it go away.
I'll stab you in the neck with a spoon for a Cronut.
There's no need for that.
I mean, Cronuts, dude.
Yeah. So
actually, all right. Let's talk quickly about taprooms. A couple of things.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I wouldn't call it a Twitter fight, but a debate around kids in taprooms. I'm such a fan of it that I don't really know that I can make an argument. Like, I'm so pro. I don't know if I have a whole lot to say other than that. Like, I could articulate it, but to be honest with you, if you don't have an environment that's safe enough for kids, how's it really going to be safe for anyone other than you have some sort of Cro-Magnon environment that is male-centric? I guess that works for you for a little while, but if it's not a family-friendly environment during the day, then I can't imagine that is a terribly comfortable environment for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, uh, when I was in Austin, I visited St. Elmo's there, and I was really surprised at how many kids were just kind of running around, playing board games, and I mean there were kids everywhere. And as we continued to kind of move around to different breweries in the area around Austin, I realized that they were all pretty much like that,
Yeah.
honestly. And it made me think about what are the types of things I like to think of in terms of an atmosphere for a brewery. And I think that I came to the conclusion that I actually love family friendly because there's a lot of times where a mom and a dad really just need to get away and need to go grab a beer and enjoy the evening with their friends, and they don't want to have to get a babysitter, man. They just want to go and hang out.
I can tell you how expensive babysitters are.
Yes, exactly. You can. So I think that I'm for kids in tap rooms as long as the parents
Yeah, you can't have unattended children
not
run around,
unruly, not yelling,
sticking boogers in other
screaming.
people's table.
None of
That's
that
not going to
stuff.
work.
No, but just like as long as parents keep their kids behaving.
So it's really not having bad kids around. It's having bad parents around.
Exactly.
Like, let's reframe the argument here. If you don't like kids in tap rooms, it's the parents really, because kids are just a reflection of the environment, like the guardrails they've been put between, right?
Yep.
So I think okay, I'll buy that one, but I think a brewery is there to serve the community, not just the hopheads. So I think it's important that the environment feels safe enough that people would want to or can bring their kids. And all you got to have is like an old crusty, game of Connect 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a lot.
Yeah, the idea that breweries and tap rooms are this third place community center kind of thing, is an important thing to think about too, right?
It is.
There are huge parts of their communities where they're from. You think about Trillium's Beer Garden in Boston. I mean, they are huge parts of their communities wherever they're at. Austin is full of them.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle. Austin, Seattle, Asheville.
Go to Portland.
Portland. I mean, on and on and on. Even St. Louis. I'm starting to think of, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Chicago.
Have you been to all those places?
Yeah, go to all these places. They're community centers where they're at, and so, yeah. I mean, I think that it can be done right and properly, and here's the other thing too is that brewers that make the decision to not, they will have people that go there that don't want kids, and
Right.
People will self-choose, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go to a place that is really just for hooligans, then just go there. Go to, what is it, the Snuggly Duckling in Tangled, the Rapunzel story, where all
I don't know
the
that
ruffians and thugs
Okay.
hang out. You don't have a daughter? Okay.
It's a hard thug life.
So let's close out by talking about, because we've talked about...
Just opened up what?
We just opened up Bibo from Creature Comforts. It is also a Pilsner.
It is.
We've talked about breweries being an inclusive and a safe environment before, not just recently, like we just talked about kids in tap rooms, but we've talked about it from a gender standpoint, from a racial standpoint, at length in other episodes. But we had something happen among two friends in our community at their brewery. And so we got a firsthand taste of when something goes wrong, how does it get handled, and how does it get perceived, and how does it play out? And I want you to at least introduce it and bring it back. Like, this is what we were arguing about before the show. Wasn't a full-on argument.
I wouldn't say we were arguing over it,
but
we were definitely discussing it.
So break it down. A local brewery for us.
Yeah, so a local brewery,
Wild Heaven,
which is a pretty medium-sized brewery here in the Atlanta area.
You're friendly with the owner.
Yep, I've been friends with and known the owner for many years. Nick Purdy, the owner, was also one of the founding owners and
He's founding part of the founding group for Paste Magazine.
Yeah, for Paste Magazine, we just
plugged it.
We just plugged it.
That was accidental, but Interesting.
He's not a part of it now, I don't think. But we're, I've been a fan of Pace Magazine for a long time, and especially as they've kind of added on people like Jim Varell to cover craft beer as they have.
Yeah, and
their
they do a
ratings.
good job of covering
They do
music.
a great job of that. So, Jen, which is Nick's wife, has been my trainer at points, fitness trainer, and so I've known them for a while. And when this incident happened, I started seeing this video being posted from this gentleman who was posting this Facebook Live video from his car after an incident in which he was groped by someone in the tap room.
By a patron in the tap room.
Yeah, by a patron in the tap room.
He was obviously shaken.
Yeah. You could tell in the video that he was really troubled by this altercation that happened. And so the long and short end of it is the gentleman who the person who's was
don't need to drop names.
Yeah, was accused of doing this, was inebriated, was drunk, and at some point grabbed the genital area of one of the bartenders of the tap room. And when obviously the bartender was shocked, and he noticed one of the brewery's investors and told him, and I don't think he. I think he kind of questioned whether or not things were handled as quickly as they could have been in this scenario.
I think the victim?
The victim.
Right.
And so the subsequent kind of the
well, he went on Facebook to flame the brewery for not having a safe environment,
basically say that
he was obviously upset, and justifiably so.
Right, and he didn't really get the conclusion that he wanted out of it, which was it handled really quickly and the names of the accused, so that he could file paperwork against him.
And that's where you and I part ways with him, where he wanted quick resolution, obviously because he trusted and liked the ownership.
Right.
So you think that someone's your friend, that they're going to do that for you.
But
correct. Once something becomes a legal situation, it's on the police, and things can only go as quickly as they move.
Right. And the challenging thing was that the accused was also a good friend of the brewery owner.
Ownership of the brewery.
Right. And the bartender knew that. And so that made it a little bit more complicated, because you definitely...
That was a complication I don't think is rare. Usually it's just I would say more times than not, it's actually a patron, like a true community patron, and not someone who is inside baseball.
So the accused was asked to leave shortly after this incident happened by Nick, the owner. And the gentleman went on Facebook Live and was just really frustrated about how it was handled. And,
I can imagine.
I can imagine.
Absolutely.
And completely agree. And this is something that Wayne and I both agree with, is that what happened was clearly not okay, and it's clearly he will need to accept some responsibility and judgment, or not judgment, but some.
You mean the accused?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll face some punishment.
I'm sure there's legal. There will be legal ramifications for both the business and the accused.
It was not okay.
It was not okay
in any form or fashion.
It is ever okay.
We both agree that what was done was not okay, and even if the situation could have been handled better, what happened was not okay, and the victim was clearly shaken, and I can understand it. In that situation, just out of the blue, if somebody did that to me, I would be really kind of shaken.
And we came to the conclusion that, some of these breweries, certainly in our area, are new to being a bar.
Yep.
And they may not have had the experience of service in a bar, or their servers and pourers may not have extensive experience as bar or bar management.
Yep.
Although I'm sure they try to hire a couple of people in that regard so that they can get that
Yeah,
history.
a lot of breweries though they're so small they can't even afford to hire somebody to do some of this.
And it's hard
stuff.
because those people are going to make a lot more than minimum wage, right? So, breweries have to be prepared to know how to read people and understand how to cut people off. When I tend a bar, it takes practice to know when to cut somebody off. It also takes practice to know what to say to cut different types of people off. You can't do it the same way with everyone. And it's not an easy thing to do to people you don't know. I promise you, it's not an easy thing to do to someone you do.
Yeah.
And we've all had to haul some inebriated friend out of a party because they embarrass themselves. I know I have been hauled out of parties for embarrassing myself for drinking too much. So I think the moral of the story is don't drink too much.
Right. Because that was really like, where he screwed up, really.
The gentleman made a terrible mistake.
Right. In allowing himself to become inebriated there and make decisions that
was his first mistake.
He wasn't cognizant of.
It wasn't as big as the second mistake, but it definitely fit into the second mistake.
Correct.
And the bigger mistake being, maybe don't get into somebody's personal space.
But I mean, again, he was drunk. He didn't. I don't think
that's where we part.
I don't think he made that decision to go.
It's
you know
not
what?
an
I'm
okay
going to
excuse.
grab this guy's junk. I'm not. I'm
It's
saying
not an
that
okay
the
excuse.
his main mistake was in getting drunk because I said this.
It was his first mistake.
His main real mistake because
probably several he made all night.
You and I have both gotten drunk and done things that we regretted or shouldn't have done because we didn't have capacity to actually think about what we were doing.
And my mouth has gotten me into trouble many, many times.
So now if he were not drunk and made that decision, then that would have been a little bit different. I'm not giving him a buy. I'm just saying that his real screw up was in allowing himself to get drunk.
I don't know if it's different. I think his screw up is compounded by the fact that he was drunk.
But would he have done that had he have not have been drunk?
I don't know.
And that's the real
Most
thing.
people would say probably not. Like people don't walk around the streets groping everybody.
So in full disclosure, I was friends with the accused on social media.
This is new information.
No, I actually met
social
him.
media.
I met him
different.
at the brewery when we were both helping out during the hurricane that happened in Florida. We were both helping with some hurricane relief stuff. And Nick, the owner of Wild Heaven, said, "Hey, if you guys have anybody who has evacuated from the hurricane from Florida up here, I would love to donate some beer to them to help make them feel a little bit better through at least having a beer, right? If they've evacuated to your area."
Right.
And so I was hosting someone who was evacuating from the hurricane, and the accused was as well. And so we met up at the brewery, and Nick gave us some short cans, which is
short pours. They didn't
basically
feel
short
right.
pours.
They didn't feel right on the line.
That's exactly right. They weren't totally full, and so you can't sell them. So he gave us some of these cans to give out to the people who evacuated. So I met the accused that day and he connected with me on Facebook, and we might have exchanged a couple of messages about
He's a nice enough guy,
random
right?
things. Actually, I saw that he was at a concert that I really wanted to go to, and I wasn't able to get tickets, and he actually offered me free tickets. He had a couple of extra tickets and was like, "Hey, I want to go." But beyond that, I didn't really have any kind of real relationship with him. So I've seen his stuff, though, for the past, since we've been connected, and the guy's a really good family guy, loves spending time with his wife and family, with his wife and kids.
Right.
Would he have made that decision if he weren't drunk? I don't think so. But again, we don't really have that opportunity because he got drunk and did it.
Well, he did it. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. And, I think it's interesting to see it play out. The brewery takes a lot of crap online for a few days. I'm sure he checks off his social media. The victim checks out his social media. Like everybody goes back to their corners to kind of get perspective.
Yep, that's right.
And pick up the pieces, right? Yep. So I wish the best for everybody involved. I think I hope for justice. I hope that the brewery is able to move on. Yep. They do good work in the community in general, this incident aside. And, I hope that, I don't know what to say, because you wind up, if you talk about...
I think this is what I said on social media. Nobody won here.
Nobody wins.
Nobody wins. I mean, the victim clearly has a right for, feeling the way that he did. It was a totally screwed up situation. He didn't ask for it, and yet he found himself in the middle of this. He lost his job over it. And I mean, he lost his job. I mean, there's no way he went back to work there. So that wasn't really, nobody won in this scenario. The brewery has taken a hit for it financially and probably will continue to. So I think that breweries should have in place some sort of policies, and
I'm sure they've buttoned up their policies, and I'm sure the other breweries in the community saw that and buttoned up their policies as well.
I hope so.
So hopefully everybody's better for it and learns something from it. Because all you can do is try to pick up the pieces.
But it did make me think too how often this happens to females that doesn't really necessarily doesn't get reported, and how we need to create an atmosphere where everyone feels safe.
Yeah, you need to not get inebriated, and you need to make sure that you pretend everybody is, family and friends.
Yep, it's not okay. None of this stuff is okay.
No.
It doesn't matter if you're male, female. It's not okay to grab, it's not okay to grab
touch,
anyone's
do anything inappropriate.
Personal,
so
not even their body for that matter, without permission.
All right, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna wind it down.
Let's wind it down.
Sorry.
We're
gonna end on a high note.
High note.
All right.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.
If you have a question or something you would like us to discuss, drop us an email, sip@lastbeershow.com, or hit us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at The Last Beer Show. A reminder that we are proud members of the ABV Network. Go to abvnetwork.com to see all the amazing podcasts, or go to your podcast app of choice, search for something like The Last Beer Show, The Firewater Review, The Bourbon Daily, among others. And if you really want to have a good time, go to Instagram and follow the hashtag ABV Network Crew. There's always all kinds of stuff happening on there, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks for listening. Peace. Oh, wait. One more thing. Please do us a solid and go to iTunes, rate the show. We would be extremely grateful. Thank you very much. Thanks again for listening.